This is the most recognizable cartoon cat in the universe, Garfield. Garfield began in 1978 and now is the world's most widely syndicated comic strip, seen in 2,580 papers and read by more than 300 million people each day. Garfield is the subject not only of the comic strip, but has starred in TV shows and movies, books, and video games. Just mind-boggling. The creator is Jim Davis, and recently I visited him in his Paws Inc. workplace near Muncie. Although Garfield likes to travel, Jim prefers to stay close to home.
I took a long, hard look at the comics and I saw dogs doing very well. Snoopy, Marmaduke, Fred Bassett, Belvedere, you name it. No cats. So I thought, I grew up on a farm near Fairmount with about 25 cats, and so I knew cats. And to me, while dogs are dogs, cats, because they're so withdrawn, you know, you naturally attribute human thoughts and feelings to them. So I thought I could give a cat a human personality, because Garfield is a human in a cat suit, basically. So I asked exactly, and I asked myself, what would a cat, what would a character be like, if he were a cat? And that would be, I think, a person out for all the creature comforts, shelter, love, food. That simple, and not apologize for it. So that, to me, was the exercise I used when I created the strip. This whole thing of working with an analog cat in a digital age is a real challenge. So we have actually spent a lot of time and effort taking a look at those things that really entertain people with the physical comic strip on paper. And we try to ask ourselves, can we communicate that? Can we entertain digitally on a screen the same way? Fortunately, we're in this little honeymoon period where comic strips are online and people read them the same way. I'm not sure where they're headed in the future, but for right now, we've been very successful in getting Garfield online. Nearly 17 million Facebook fans, good distribution of the strip electronically. There are fewer newspapers, but you know what? That got a lot of press a few years ago, but they were the over-leveraged newspapers who closed. They were bought and sold so many times, the debt load was greater than the advertising could support. The family-owned papers, the local papers, community papers, they're doing fine. People still want to hold paper. That's why books still sell, And so we're doing just fine in paper, but thankfully we've had good online growth as well. So I think our transition's going to be just fine. We learned early on that people wanted Garfield's sentiments on a product to kind of speak for themselves.
But you had to see that, so I give you credit for that. I mean, you didn't just say, okay, we're just going to do a comic strip in a newspaper and stop there.
Actually, that was the plan, but
it was the plan.
But other opportunities came along. I go, cool, because I'd worked in advertising. I was a commercial artist, so I saw an opportunity to do, screen things on the T-shirts. It was very simple. It was very, I didn't think about all the things that happened since then. But as the opportunity came along to do an animated show, come on, I was dying. I was jumped at the chance because I wanted to see what Garfield would look like and how he'd move and what he'd sound like, So this whole process, even doing him in plush and things like that, is what would he feel like? To me, I learned more about the character with every iteration of animation or product or anything like that. I understand him a little bit better, and we get an opportunity to entertain in another way.
And you're still progressing, having fun, and looking to the future yourself. So what gives you that spark?
Well, things are changing all the time. It's like once you get it, then they change everything.
Oh yeah.
You got to learn more stuff. And to me, it's the learning. We speak an entirely different language when we talk publishing for books, an entirely different language when we're putting together a Saturday morning, cartoon show, and another one for ceramics. So you have to, think in a lot of different ways, and it's very energizing to learn all the different things you have to do in order to do your job, and so it keeps you active, and so keeps you moving, so things don't seize up. including the mind.
Well,
but when you're dealing with laughing, it's all positive. You know, I'm sorry, it's just way fun. It's just like, you know, coming to a party every day. But nevertheless, he still has that same appeal, that same making people feel better about themselves, saying life isn't so bad, you know, let's chill, people, you know. And he's not perfect, but he's cool with that, and I think that sends a good message to people too. So,
I think you've done a marvelous job.
thank you.
Continued success. It's just amazing. And Garfield goes on forever and ever and ever. So
Well-
you can't quit.
We'll talk again in another 20 years.
It's a date.
Good to see you again, Patty.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Jim Davis, Garfield.